Hey everyone, welcome to this video series on reading comprehension. Now, reading comprehension is one of my favorite areas, and the reason I say that is that there is zero knowledge required to attempt these questions. Now, what we've done is we've tried to segregate our videos on reading comprehension into 4 videos, and in this particular video I'll talk about a high-level strategy and I'll give you a very special technique to solve reading comprehension. We'll also bust certain myths and I'll tell you where your focus should be on reading comprehension, and also ultimately give you a simple approach so that you can maximize your score in this particular section. So let's get started. People feel that knowledge plays an important role in reading comprehension. Now that I feel is absolutely wrong. In fact, if you know something about a particular topic, I'll suggest not to use your existing knowledge and try and answer the questions, because reading comprehension is about the author and you trying to understand the author through this piece of text. Second, reading speed. Now, while reading speed is something that you should be aware about, you should know how many words per minute you read, and it's important if you have a good reading speed. However, don't unnecessarily get bogged down in thinking about your reading speed, because see, most of these exams you will get passages like 400 to 600 words per minute. So for example, let's say somebody whose speed is, let's say, 300 words per minute, whereas somebody whose speed is, let's say, 450 words per minute. I mean, maximum advantage you have is for a minute or so, right? Now, if you're reading that one text and if you read it very fast, let's say you get 3 questions correct, 2 wrong, versus somebody who takes 1 minute extra but gets all 5 of the 5 questions correct, I would say this is a better approach, right? So don't stress about your reading speed too much, but instead focus on answering the questions correctly. Third, vocabulary. Now it's to do with a lot of context. In reading comprehension, you need not know the meaning of all the words. If in the context you can understand how words are being used, I think that's what is required. So don't unnecessarily focus on vocabulary or feel that because your vocabulary is not great, you won't be able to understand it. And finally, it's not a memory check. That means I've seen people trying to remember when they read passages in exams. It's about just understanding where what information is kept and what is the author's opinion or his beliefs. Instead, I would say what you should focus on is that you should focus on reading actively. That means instead of reading passively where you don't know what the author is talking about, you should read actively. That means you should ask, what is the author trying to say from the first paragraph itself? How is he saying this? On what basis is he making his arguments? That means you should ask simple questions like what, how, why. And people who ask these questions and read critically the passage are able to very easily distinguish from the best options to the not so good options. Also, your understanding of the different types of questions, which we will discuss in subsequent videos, will also help you devise a strategy to attack different types of questions. And finally, what's also important is that the tact which is required to eliminate options, because it shouldn't happen that you understood the passage only to get stuck at, every time with these 2-3 options and then you don't know which is the best option. So you should understand how to eliminate options. Is this out of scope, or does it have incorrect information? Am I answering the question that is being asked, and things like that. So your focus should be on these things instead. A couple of do's and don'ts that I would suggest to people when it comes to reading comprehension. So for example, one of the do's would be, of course, reading critically. That means you have to be one of those friends, when we go to the movies, there are some people who are constantly thinking during the movie, okay, what is the director trying to achieve? What is the significance of this scene? Why this particular character is introduced? You have to be that friend, right? Instead of the friend who just goes to enjoy popcorn and not knowing, okay, in which direction are we heading? So you should be able to sort of predict the author. You should be able to understand what's the big picture. So read critically, and of course pay attention to the switches, right? That means a lot of times people who don't read actively, they tend to get lost in between and they're saying, but why is he now suddenly talking about something opposite? Because they never paid attention to the switches which indicated a change in direction. They never focused on however or although or any such switch. So you should pay attention to this so that you are always clear in which direction the author is going. And if you could break down the structure and pause in between. So for example, let's say a passage has, let's say, your 4 paragraphs. So you should pause after the first paragraph and try to simplify it and say, okay, what is he trying to say? What is the crux? How the ideas or sub ideas are linked together. And you should be able to reject to select. So instead of choosing that one option, you should be able to know how to reject the incorrect options and what is the really goes in the mind of the examination setter and how they frame these wrong option choices. And finally, a few don'ts would be: do not mix your opinion on the topic. Don't be overconfident and rely on your memory. You should always check back and really cross-check. Then focusing on specific text and putting unnecessary pressure on your head. So when you read, you should focus, like I said, more on the opinions instead of unnecessary details. Don't put unnecessary information in your head, especially during the exam. And finally, read, and read. The more you read, the more you become good at this particular section, comprehension. And we suggest a simple methodology. People ask, should we read the questions first? Should we read the passage first? We suggest to read the questions first. That means glance through the questions quickly in 10-20 seconds. Once you glance through the questions, you know what kind of questions are coming, what are the keywords on which there are questions. Then you go to the passage, you start reading the passage critically, and wherever you're getting some of those questions answered which are in the questions, you solve and answer there and then keep moving. And then finally you attempt questions and then you refer the passage wherever it's required. So this is our simple 3-step strategy to solve reading comprehension questions. I hope you found this video very helpful to frame like an overall strategy for reading comprehension. And in the next video, we'll discuss how to attack specific detailed types of questions. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And don't forget to subscribe, like, or follow our channel. Thank you.